two risks involved in buying a buy-to-let or investment property. It doesn't matter whether it's in America, the UK, wherever. In my opinion, your two main risks that can eat into any return would be number one, vacancy, and number two, maintenance. And like anything, good investment, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, is good investment is about minimizing the risks. So how do we minimize the risks of buying an investment property? Well, it's pretty simple. If you look at the risks, number one, vacancy. How do we minimize the risk of vacancy? So tenants will always leave. They don't stay forever. You don't buy a tenant, you buy the house. So buy the house in a good neighborhood. So if the tenant does leave, it's very easy to replace the tenant. The other thing on how to minimize vacancy is use a decent management company. So I think, like I've said in many of my other videos, you can buy a great house, but if it's managed badly, it can still turn into a bad investment. So I think minimizing vacancy, number one, location, and number two, management. Maintenance, well, know what you're buying. It's quite obvious if you buy a house that not is in bad condition, but if it hasn't been renovated recently and it's cheap, the likelihood is you're going to have to spend money on it. So you have to take that into account. But if you want to minimize maintenance, then look at buying a house that's renovated and in great condition. So the boiler's new, the hot water tank's new, the roof's fairly new and it's got a good lifespan left on it. The electrics are new. The main fundamental items of the property are good, Now, you might pay a little bit more for that type of house, but it gives you less headache down the line. Or if you do decide to buy a house that is not renovated, understand the risk involved that at some point you might have to spend some money on the house, which might eat into any potential return. But just remember, when you spend money on a property, you're also adding value to the house as well. So there's nothing wrong with buying a house like that, but understand the risks involved when you do. Like I'm looking at buying a house at the moment, not in the US, in the UK. Great location, but it needs around about 20, 25, 30,000 pounds in work. But I understand that as an investor and as a buyer. So basically, like I said, the two risks, number one, vacancy, number two, maintenance, and we can minimize those risks or understand what you're buying.